Hey guys, it's Crossroads here. Today I wanted to talk about earnings for 7 companies that I track and follow pretty closely, just doing a quick earnings preview on each of them. I'm not sure I'll have time to do a full review of it on any of these. I'd hope to do PayPal, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that or Palantir. It's been an exceptionally busy time, so your time is valuable. So let's go and do a quick overview. So the first of these is PayPal. PayPal is coming up April 29th in the pre-market, also at the same time as SoFi, which we'll talk about next. How will they do? Well, I think that they're going to meet on revenue and actually beat on EPS slightly. This isn't going to be an exciting quarter as far as the top line numbers, but there are a couple of things that are pretty exciting. So one of those is active accounts. Now, active accounts is not the most important measure usually if PayPal is only just a payments platform, but they have the advertising business. They have a lot of other products as they're launching this commerce platform. And so this actually becomes more meaningful. You can see that it bottomed and it's climbing. They're going to post an all-time high on active users on the annual basis and also probably on the monthly basis as well. So what else am I looking for? Transaction margins, I think, will actually be up as well. We see that they continue to go up and margins as well. Net income, that's transaction margin dollars, that's worth keeping an eye on. They guided a little bit more aggressively than normal, though we will see that 5% revenue hit from that Braintree strategy shift, at least through the first half, possibly continuing a little bit into the second half. I'm also very curious to see how Fastlane has updated. They were targeting large merchants first and moving down market. So we should see some acceleration there. They might give us some early reads as well on the advertising platform. And of course, I'm hoping to see how Venmo is doing. Their cards are scaling very well. They're going for the omni-channel support, which is the Will Ferrell commercials, launching a lot of products at the same time. And so I'm very curious how they'll guide. I think that maybe they will guide a little bit cautiously here just because of the tariffs and potential hit from the EU. Up next, SoFi. SoFi saw a pretty nice bump in web traffic. You don't really see it going back, but they continue to grow, and I expect that this is going to be a very good quarter for SoFi. I expect that they're going to come in with maybe 850,000 members, which would be a phenomenal amount of growth. They're still a little bit shy of that 1 million that I'm hoping that we'll see at some point this year. EPS will come in about 4 cents. I expect I'll probably be the bearish person tonight if you're watching SoFi Weekly, whatever we name it recently. The expectations are 3 cents. So they'll come in ahead of that. Revenue, 777 million with 739 million expected. So that's a beat as well. Financial services is accelerating rapidly because of the loan platform business. Lending and tech will probably actually be down quarter over quarter. Corporate, it's anyone's guess. Regardless, I think that they'll actually guide pretty conservatively, but I think that they will raise as they typically do, even despite the macroeconomic uncertainty. And I'm also going to look forward to any comments that they have on the financial services platform, the loan platform business specifically, and also the mentions of the crypto and their loan performance as well. Those are all important numbers. Now, later next week, we do see Robinhood as the next of these. And Robinhood, we do have most of their monthly metrics. January and February, we have their full, complete metrics. We have a little glimpse of March's as well. And so with that said, I need to share those. So here these are, and monthly as well. You can find these on their investor relations page. I think that there's not going to be much of a room for a surprise here simply because most of those numbers are priced in. IBKR did have their earnings already. They're a competitor with Robinhood. They noted that there was a 10 to 12% pullback on margin levels. I expect that they will see that as the markets began to deteriorate there in March because of the chaos and tariff uncertainty. So I'm very curious also to see how what their annual run rate is on some of their newer products. They've given us early reads on these, and I appreciate that. So Legend, futures, events contracts, all are likely performing well. I'm wondering which gets to that $100 million annual run rate first. Maybe one of them already did it, although I think we're maybe a quarter or two away from that. I'd like to see gold attach rate continue to climb. Maybe they have an early read on strategies, although they won't see too much revenue on that yet, but I'm very curious. And also just kind of curious on that margin, of course. They don't guide, so they don't have to worry about the tariffs or the chaos or anything like that. Now, the next company that reported is going to be Palantir. That's May 5th, so a little bit further out. Now, Palantir has typically beat and done a triple beat, and I think that that will be the case here. What's going to be interesting with Palantir is they actually have pretty high analyst expectations. I think revenue will come in probably 37 or 38% year over year. It'll fall just short of 40% at best. I need to go in and look at a couple other things a little bit more closely. I think we'll continue to see net dollar retention tick up. It was at 120% previously. I think maybe we'll see 121, 122% as AIP is monetized. Now, their revenue is good. Their EPS is also very good as well, about 14 cents in the scenario that I'm looking at right now. What I'm really curious about too is if customers count continues to accelerate. I thought that might tell off at a certain point. Instead, we've seen the opposite, which is very exciting. And I believe 13 new clients announced at AIP. So they're doing a lot of things very well. What's going to be most interesting is how they guide. Usually, Palantir does a lot of sandbagging. And in this environment, you think, oh, yeah, tariffs, macro uncertainty, of course they will. But CARP has reiterated a number of times that this kind of chaos is actually really good for Palantir. It's not just good for them, it's also good for ServiceNow, which overlaps a little bit with what Palantir does. And you can see this here, as I mentioned, their quarter one. But they say, unlike past disruptions in the global market supply chain, AI agents now reconfigure businesses' rules in real time. Businesses reduce dependency on high tariff regions by reprioritizing tier 2 and 3 suppliers while activating the certification of new vendors. And so he goes on in the earnings and also once elsewhere as well, talking about that they're actually accelerating. They're not showing uncertainty. And as a result, they guided pretty aggressively. I'm curious if Palantir does the same. And if they do, that's going to get a lot of attention. I know the stock's elevated. I'm not a buyer here. But I think the market will be very interested that they're that confident in their future earnings despite the chaos of the current macro situation. And that's going to if so, that's going to stand out like a very bright light shining in darkness among all this other uncertainty that we're having. So be paying attention to see if that will happen. Now, HIMS is also reporting as well. HIMS is reporting at the same time as Palantir on May 5th after hours. So how will they do? I think that they'll have no problems with this earnings. Quarter two is where it's actually is going to get pretty interesting. They always beat on revenue. They always, except for one small occasion, beat on EPS. So I expect that'll continue to be the case. Their guidance, so, was very aggressive when they came in with quarter four. And so this is what they were projecting. And they are factoring in a lot right here, especially from weight loss revenue. GLP-1s were perhaps taken away a little bit earlier than they expected, but they had that in time for this guidance. And so that made me scratch my head a little bit. So I'm very curious if their oral solution is just poised to accelerate a whole lot more, or if there's some things that I'm missing. So as far as guidance, keep an eye on that. This may be one of those times where they are very content to just stand pat. I think more likely than not, HIMS will actually say, you know what, there's a lot of tariff uncertainty. Donald Trump has mentioned pharmaceuticals as far as tariffs a number of times, and around 80 to 85% of the bulk ingredients for a lot of these pharmaceutical products are sourced in India and China. So that's a potential headwind there for revenue that they have to be aware of. Plus, there was some pushback from the FDA regarding their hair loss treatment product. We don't know exactly where the oral testosterone product, when and where it will launch. They gave us an idea, but it may be pushed back just because of some of the uncertainty and disruptions in supply chains. So I'm thinking that maybe with guidance that they just say, hey, we're going to stand pat at best, or they might just say, you know what, we're going to pull back our guidance just because we don't want to guide you wrongly in this uncertain time. If so, I think that HIMS will get hit a little bit as far as a stock, but it's pretty understandable given the current macroeconomic environment. Now, last but not least is Nubank. And the big story for Nubank is the conversion from Brazilian real to USD. If we go back 5 years, you can look back and see that in 2023 in July, that's when it really started deteriorating. And it very much so did that aggressively here in the fourth quarter. They've seen it pull back some. And so this massive headwind that they experienced in dollar neutral terms to Nubank, I don't think it'll be there. Brazil seems a little bit more stable. There's some macroeconomic concern there. I expect Mexico and Colombia are also doing well. So I think that they'll be fine. And actually, I was wrong. We have a bonus stock, my newest holding, which is Nvidia. Now, Nvidia did note that for upcoming investors, and they report, by the way, on May 28th, probably, we don't know the date for sure, but it's very late compared to most. They record a $5.5 billion hit. This will be in Q1 2026, which, yes, is the quarter that they're reporting on. They name it a little bit differently because they're forward looking. I don't know why they do it, but they do it that way. So regardless, I think a lot of this is priced into the stock, and it may be priced into the analyst expectations, although perhaps a few did not revise. But nevertheless, NVIDIA was expecting a lot of acceleration, partly because of Blackwell scaling and some other products as well not being in short supply. And so I think that we won't see that acceleration the way that we would if this H20 hit wasn't happening. But nevertheless, outside of this hit, you'll see some acceleration. I think that'll surprise the market. So they will probably beat, based on analyst expectation, the revenue. They'll likely beat on EPS. And for guidance, I think that they might just watch and see what Apple does. Apple is kind of uniquely among the Mag 7 hit by tariffs. And so if Apple says, hey, we're not going to guide this time, we're going to pull back our guidance just because of this uncertainty, I think NVIDIA says, you know what? We'll follow Apple's lead, especially if they have kind of a muted reaction to that. We'll have to see. But anyway, I do think that they're going to do quite well in the near-term future. We saw Google reported. They actually did report guidance as well. They're not going to be hit by tariffs, at least much. But one of the things that Google did is reiterate their CapEx spending. They said, hey, we are going to do this. And in fact, we may even accelerate. It seemed like that there was hints towards. That's good for NVIDIA. And so I think that portends what's going to come in Q2 and through the rest of this year. Regardless, let me know which of these earnings you're most interested in. Which one are you thinking that I've got it completely wrong and maybe they're not going to do as well as I expect? Love to hear that and that in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching, commenting, and subscribing. These are exciting times, and happy investing to you.